The first time I needed to say, I'll be right back in Spanish, I had no idea how to say it, but I didn't know that I didn't know how to say it until I got to that moment. And so I said something clumsy like, voy a venir otra vez más tarde. To help you avoid that same fate, that same situation, I wanted to make this short video to walk you through some different ways to say, I'll be back in Spanish. And I'll incorporate some chances for you to practice along the way. It's a little confusing because when we say, I'll be back in English, it sounds like that back is something that we need to translate into Spanish. And this makes us kind of overcomplicate what we want to say for this sort of sentence, and also for things like, I'll call you back, or I'll give it right back to you. Really, all we need are two things. We need a time marker, like ya, ahora, or enseguida, and we need a verb. In this case, a verb meaning to come or to come back. Venir, volver, regresar are the most common words associated with this sort of sentence, with I'll be back, or I'll be right back. Let's look at a few examples and give you some space to practice. The first verb that we'll use here is just the verb venir, venir, to come. All we need to say I'll be right back using venir is, again, the time marker, ya, ahora, enseguida, and venir conjugated in the first person, vengo. We put those two pieces together and we can say I'll be right back. Ya vengo, ahora vengo, vengo enseguida. Let's take an example sentence, and I want you to fill in the blank in the example sentence using one of those three options that we just looked at. Se me olvidó la billetera en casa. I'll be right back. Se me olvidó la billetera en casa. Ya vengo, or ahora vengo, or vengo enseguida. Any of those options are okay. Let's move on to the next one. Volver. Volver means to come back. And we'll do the exact same thing as we did with venir. We take the time marker, ya, ahora, and enseguida, and we combine that with volver in the first person conjugation. So vuelvo, ya vuelvo, ahora vuelvo, or vuelvo enseguida. To put that in a sentence, let's look at an example, and again, you'll fill in the blank using one of those examples. Voy a hacer una llamada. I'll be right back. Voy a hacer una llamada. Vuelvo enseguida. Or ya vuelvo. Or ahora vuelvo. Again, any of those are okay. Which one people use depends, it kind of varies regionally. There's no correct one or universally ideal one to say. Depending on where you are, you might find that people say one or another of these options more frequently. One thing to note related to the verb volver is that ya vuelvo and estoy de vuelta are not the same. Ya vuelvo is I'll be right back, and estoy de vuelta means I am back, I'm currently back. I talk a little bit more about both of these in this video. The third verb that is useful to us in this situation to talk about I'll be right back is regresar. Regresar. All we need again is the time marker, ya, ahora, enseguida, and regresar in the first person, regreso. So let's take an example, and just like with the others, you'll fill in the blank using one of those three options. I'll be right back, no se vayan sin mí. Regreso enseguida, no se vayan sin mí. Or ya regreso, no se vayan sin mí. Or ahora regreso, no se vayan sin mí. You could also say ahorita regreso, and same with the other examples, we could have said ahorita vengo or ahorita vuelvo. I hadn't mentioned it yet because ahorita is a verb that is a word that's a little bit confusing because depending on where you are in the Spanish-speaking world, it is used or not used. And among the places where ahorita is used, there's a pretty wide range of how now ahorita means, how close to now it means. In some places, ahorita means a little bit farther in the future, a little bit of a vaguer now. And in other places, ahorita means like right now. I won't cover this in any more detail in this video, but if that would be interesting to you, let me know in the comments and maybe I can make a video specifically on ahorita. Let's do a complete practice sentence to put all of this together. Let's say that you are getting in your car, you're about to drive some other people somewhere, and you forgot your keys. You don't have your keys, and you need to communicate to the people that you're driving, I don't have my keys, I'll be right back. I don't have my keys, I'll be right back. How would you express that? One way to express that would be no tengo mis llaves, ya vuelvo. You could also say no tengo mis llaves, ahora regreso, or ya vengo, or ahora vengo. Again, these are all pretty interchangeable, and depending on where you are and who you're speaking with, you'll hear some of these options more than others. Speaking of regional differences, you can also hear different versions of I'll be right back depending on where you are. There are some kind of regional slang or regionalisms that are used to express this same idea. For example, vuelvo al toque. Vuelvo al toque. Al toque just means immediately or right away, and it's used pretty commonly in a lot of South America, like Peru, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay. And so if I say vuelvo al toque, it means exactly the same as ahora vuelvo, or the other examples that we looked at. I'll be right back. For example, me esperas un momento. Voy a buscar una botella de agua y vuelvo al toque. Another one which is more regionally specific is al tiro. Al tiro is used in Chile. I don't think it's used other places. And it means the same as al toque, right away, immediately in Chile. Al tiro is used all the time in lots of different scenarios. But you can also say vuelvo al tiro, vengo al tiro. For example, voy al baño, vuelvo al tiro. The third regional option here is espérame tantito. Espérame tantito literally is wait for just a second. So wait for a little bit. So it's not exactly I'll be right back, but it helps you convey that same meaning, or at least in the same scenario. Espérame tantito is used, as far as I know, pretty commonly in Mexico. That's where I've heard it, and it may be used in other places. If you happen to know, let me know in the comments. For example, espérame tantito, voy por una chela. Espérame tantito, voy por una chela. Wait just a sec, I'm going to get a beer. Chela is slang for beer in Mexico and a lot of other places. By the way, I'd be curious to know if there are other ways of saying I'll be right back that we didn't cover here, things that you've come across that are maybe regional ways to say it, regionalisms or slang that we didn't cover here. Feel free to share those in the comments so that everybody else can learn about those ways to say I'll be right back. Also, if you want to work on other useful phrases in Spanish, check out this video next. Thanks for watching.